into Tiger Talks Wrestling. I am your host, Tony. I am joined today by my co-host, Mr. Awesome, and a very special guest. Welcome into Tiger Talks Wrestling. I'm your host, Tony, and joined today by the guy who was actually my very second guest on Tiger Talks Wrestling, the man of war himself, former TTW World Heavyweight Champion, Dustin Reagan.
Tony, how you doing, my man? You've upgraded the intro since the last time we did this. I think last time we just said, all right, let's go. And it's just started.
Yep, that's the way it used to be, but hey, I've had a couple people make a few different intros for me. This one actually, Jason Walker made that intro for me, so.
I got you. A lot more professional of an intro, I would say.
Trying to. All right, we got a first comment already in the comment section. D'Lo Smith says, long time no see, coach.
Oh, boy. How you doing, D'Lo? It's been a long time.
All right. I'm going to get this a little more. There we go. That's better. So, you mentioned it's been quite a while since I've had you on here. I look back, 2018 was the last time we did the Q&A session. Had you on the first time in 2017. So,
yeah, my memory's so bad. I don't even remember. I remember doing it, but I don't remember like any details from it.
Right.
Call me Eric Bischoff. I don't know if you just did that 82 weeks podcast, but I'm about as bad as him.
Yeah, I can't really mention a whole lot from the Q&A episode because I didn't look back too much into that one. But I did look back into our first episode. And I got this needs to be muted, so I don't want to hear my echo. I want to go back to a subject that we talked about in the first show. I might go into others too. But a question I always asked to the guests when I first had them on was dream matches. And you named 3 guys that you wanted to face at some point in time. You might not remember them. I'm going to give you a little refresher course here.
Okay.
Cage, who we both know has made quite a name for himself now. Chris Castle and Novin. We also know one of those 3 actually happened.
Yeah, the Cage one kind of happened, if you count the Battle Royal that we did. Novin happened.
Yes.
That's so crazy. I don't even remember any of it. Oh, man. But yeah, like looking back at it now, like where my head was then and wanting to do wrestling, kind of like what Cage is doing now, and wanting to make it that mainstream, like, yeah, I'm more than happy with how it turned out. I ended on my terms. I didn't want to go through the indie stuff no more. And, I'm living life to the fullest now. So anything that didn't happen, just the time wasn't there and it just wasn't meant to be. But, I'm not disappointed in it or have any regrets in my decision I made. I mean, I'm still an avid wrestling fan. I mean, not as much as I used to, but since AEW's come back around, I've gotten a little bit more back into it. But because WWE now is just straight horrible. I mean, it is horrible. Like some of that VTW stuff we did. I mean, we're doing that on no budget. I mean, we barely afforded the food afterwards budget.
Yeah.
And they're doing this on this $1 million platform. And man, it not be that grueling to watch. Like, you have to just be committed to watch it. And then especially Raw. That Monday Night Raw is so bad.
Well, call me committed because I watch it every week. So
I don't know how you do it, man. I really don't.
Some weeks it is tough. I'll agree with that. But. All right. D'Lo did say he's doing good, brother, and I'm ready to see this football game tonight.
Oh yeah, Cowboys and Buccaneers. I'll be sitting there watching it. I'm, D'Lo knows how I am with football.
Right. Your Titans there.
It's Titans and sadly Volunteers, but we don't talk about that. We don't talk about them.
Another time, another place. The other topic I was going to bring up, you mentioned Chris Castle quite a bit in that first show. How he was somebody that wasn't as well known in the community. Put him in the Elimination Chamber match along with Novin, Mike, Zach, Yankee, Johnny Reed. Do you think you would change any of those if you went back and redid it now?
All right, so elimination match. I had Novin,
Elimination Chamber,
Yankee, Chris, Zach.
Yep.
Who else?
Mike and Johnny Reed.
Oh man. No, I'll say that I'll probably keep it the same. Like maybe put myself in it and take someone out. That'll be about it.
Okay. Who knows? All right. So now comes the fun part. When we had you on, it was just after Best in the Yard 3, so we talked about that. We talked about a little more past that, TTW wise. I got to bring up the topic of Best in the Yard 4, though, because I don't think we've actually sat down and talked about it. I've talked to other guys and gotten their side of the story. Best in the Yard 4, you had a match with Everett Creed that was not ever released. Anything much that you can remember about that or that time?
Like all the juicy stuff that happened, like all the good details kind of happened like behind my back. Like I really wasn't involved in any of it. So I don't like when I first heard that the match wasn't there, I first heard that it got corrupted.
Right.
I didn't hear nothing about TJ pushing Everett's girlfriend or whatever at the time. It kind of, at the time, it kind of pissed me off.
Yeah.
Because I drove up there, I put the whole get up on and spent my time to do it, and I can't even watch it, like, much less have it where people could see it. And, it's like, it kind of got me thinking, like, was it really because of the corruption or was it something else?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened. The person who lost it or deleted it or whatever, he knows or she knows or they know, but I moved on by it. But it's just it's frustrating, but that's pro wrestling for you. Someone don't like it, they just don't.
But we of course have seen Dustin Reagan versus Everett Creed once before that at Crossover Crisis. Not that anybody sees the Best in the Yard 4 match, but remembering back to that match, would you say it was probably as good or maybe even better than what you guys put on at Crossover Crisis?
It was kind of a match kind of like a filler match and a match that kind of set up my character going forward for VTW and ending Everett's thing he had going on was the kind of direction with it. I wouldn't say it was a squash match, but it wasn't much of a competition match.
Gotcha.
By what I remember, again, I could be dead wrong, but I remember it being more like a 8-minute thing tops, and Everett got some moves in, and then I beat him, and then his disciples or whatever that's following him around at that time came in. I pretty much took all of them out and then was standing up with all the momentum. And like I remember like I was feeling pretty good about it. So
yeah,
it's I gotta say something because I'm pretty hard on matches. But Yeah, it wasn't no kind of let's go out there and steal the show type of match. It was kind of more of a building a storyline match.
Gotcha. So the crossover crisis one, I think, kind of got thrown together last minute in that match, anyways. But
yeah, that one was really fun. Like I remember you had Jason on here and he was talking about it and how like I got put into it and all that. And I don't know if he's mad at me for say, or what's going on with that, but I'm just gonna say it straight up right here. Like I don't know what his issue is with Aaron. I don't know what Aaron didn't do. I don't know his story. I know Aaron's story, but like when that all went down, it was at TTW Fury when I fought Rick Rios.
mm-hmm.
And, we were doing this match and we were setting up for the crossover crisis event. VTW versus Everett's promotion up there. The names.
WWE.
Yeah. And doing the match with Rios, like Everett was sitting ringside and he was just talking crap at me. And I'm in the middle of the match, I'm thinking like, I know the event's supposed to be him and Everett. Why is he taking shots at me? So, I'm here. I'm seeing the storyline play out, and I'm seeing how we're doing it. And Dirty comes out, and all the chaos breaks free. And like of it, I remember like I think it was me and I think Drew made a comment like, "Everett, why are we building a match between me and Dustin?" And it kind of hit me like, we kind of are setting up me and him.
Right.
And I remember I went and talked to him about it. I can't remember what was said, but I remember talking to him about maybe setting up something with me in Crossover Crisis. And then what I remember, they kind of had a fallout. And the next thing I know, I think it turned into a triple threat. And then Jason hated it. So Jason backed out, and then it turned into a singles with just me and Everett. And at that point, I was like, it is what it is. But and me being me, I'm not confident in anything I do. Heck, I'm not even confident in wrestling now. But back then, like I was confident that no one was better than me. I mean, it's dickish to say, but that's how I felt. And like, right. So like Drew, I know Drew can beat me in the mic. I know Cam can beat me in promos, but I felt when inside that ring when the bell rung, I was the best.
Right.
And I took that as a challenge. Like, all right, well, if Jason can't do it, then I'm gonna make this thing the best I can make it. And what I remember, that match didn't turn out exactly the way we were playing it, and going from a trampoline to a ring is easy.
Right.
Going from a ring back to a trampoline is so much harder. I bet. And I think that had a lot to do with how that match turned out. I mean, it wasn't the world's worst match ever seen, but it wasn't what my standards for my matches was. And that's what I do regret. I regret my attitude towards everybody's matches. I didn't just sit down and watch them to enjoy them. I sat down and I critiqued it. I critiqued everybody. Like I couldn't stand it if they put a headlock on, it was the wrong way. Couldn't stand it. Couldn't watch it. If they had no rhythm, couldn't stand it. That's the one thing I regret. But
yeah. All right. So staying along the lines of backyard wrestling, one thing I want to touch on from your career, as we know pretty much over now, but I want to talk about your time, brief time, but still time, teaming up with Zach Daniels, that tag team of Alwa. What do you remember of the time that you guys got to spend together, whether it be just on camera as a team or what we might not have seen otherwise?
I remember it being a great idea and something that we could have done a lot more with. And I think we were more committed at that time. We would have. But in my personal opinion, with the way TTW was at that time, it was a lot of like negativity. It was a lot of like brought some people in and half the crew wanted them, half the crew didn't. And it was just like a fight in that locker room. And whenever you do that, it don't matter what you do. It's just not going to be fun. And if it ain't fun, it's not going to be good. And I remember that happening during that time period where my head wasn't really in it. And I was kind of stuck in a creative part where I didn't really have a direction. I had to find my own direction.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't turn out the way it should have turned out. It should have been a lot better and a lot more creative, because that's a creative guy right there with Zach. But
yeah,
it was just bad timing. It was just bad timing.
Yeah, I could have seen had things not gone the way it did, perhaps a Alva versus Bad Sons feud at some point in time, or even with the FTC for that matter at some point in time down the line. But
there was supposed to be us and FTC. We're supposed to make the tag team division kind of a thing. And don't quote me on this one wrong, but I believe in the FTC match supposed to happen at Mania. And during that match, I think me and Kirsten was supposed to turn on Zach. And Kirsten was going to be my manager going forward at that time. I can't remember exactly what. I think that's what it was supposed to be. But it's supposed to be like a legit long-term tag team that got the belt and then fought FTC. And then during the FTC matches when the turn was supposed to happen. Again, I could be completely wrong, but that's what I remember.
Gotcha. That's another guy I got to get on the show eventually still, too.
I don't even... last I heard, Zach quit wrestling as well. I don't know if he's still doing it from here and there or what.
So that'd be news to me if he had.
Maybe he just took a break for a while. I heard something about that.
Hard to tell. Since that wasn't exactly the last appearance, you guys in Alva, but BTW pretty much went away for a while. We seen it come back last year for popular demand. What was it like to be a part of that show? And then walk us through, obviously, the match that we all seen between you and Zach.
I want to do it. And D-Lock convinced me. Then he couldn't go. So, but it was fun. I don't regret going. It was a good time. I just remember me worrying if I still had it. And I found out I didn't have it. Because, it was a good match. It was fun to do. One last go. But I was very exhausted. I had no breath at all. That saying, when you lose it, you lose it, is so true.
Yeah.
And I just remember doing that match. Like, I'm just sitting there huffing and puffing for breath. And Zach's, I was like, you're going to carry me through it, son. And he's got the bald head. I got the bald head. And we both out here. First match of the night. And worst heat you got of the daytime. So it's like every time me and Zach wrestled, it would be 200 degrees. Laying straight down. Then when everyone else wrestles, the sun gets covered up by some clouds. Nice and humid, but not scorching. But nope, when me and Zach wrestle, sun, the heat's on.
So you mentioned one thing. I mentioned Lowe's comment says he thought it was a pretty good match. You mentioned one of the things you regret is that you would sit back and kind of critique matches all the time. Did you feel like you did that at Popular Demand, or did you stick around and watch the rest of the show?
I stuck around and watched it, but I didn't critique it because at that time, all these guys went to the Indies, and the stuff got a lot more smooth and a lot more crisp. And my love for wrestling wasn't what it was back when I was doing it. Like, I don't think me and D-Lock, and selfishly, me especially, get the credit from the community that I think we deserve, especially again, selfishly me, because like I feel like before I got the VTW, it was another backyard, right? And
I would agree.
I feel like when I got in there, I made these guys. I didn't make them, but I showed these guys how to do it,
Right.
and I feel like I upped the level of match quality. Again, nothing like you see in AEW because again, these guys have been they're on another level. But like in backyard terms, like
Right.
we made it from not watchable to maybe somewhat watchable to some matches will be really good. Like Kevin Shaw, I thought told a hell of a story and nothing really went sideways that you could see from a naked eye. And I feel like me in particular gets overshot by like, and again, this is no shot from like Cam and Novin and Cage and how they've changed or helped Backyard grow to what it was. And before I got there, I feel like the match quality sucked. I feel like the match qualities was slow, and they told a story, but it was a like 45 to an hour match every match, and I don't think I get the credit I deserve when it comes to showing these guys how to do it. It bothered me then, and it kept on driving me. But now I'm like, at the end of the day, they do. They don't. But to me, like, I'm helped made that community what it is or what it was.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I've always felt like things changed once you and D-Lock were brought into VTW, and you could tell a major difference in ring or in the trampoline at the beginning part.
Yeah, it ain't on there now, but like if you could go back there and you could watch like the beginning of VTW, and if you watch like my debut, like just doing the moves I was doing and doing it when I was like, you could see like the cameraman was freaking out because they ain't never seen it work on themselves. They ain't never seen it happen. So when I was choreographing it and showing these guys how to do it and pretty much picking them up, putting them in the right spot, and doing these moves quickly and showing them this is how you flow a match and you flow a rhythm, and it made them walk out watching it. So like, and when I see these little tribute videos like at Biddy 5 where like they gave these plaques out to people, and and I didn't get mentioned about showing these guys the ropes because like before I got there, none of them knew how to lock up.
Right.
So, and again, this ain't bitterness. This ain't shots taken. It's just me telling you how I feel.
Yeah. Giving out your thoughts and opinions.
Yeah, I'll tell them all right now if that's how I felt, and no bitterness. Just I'm happy they're still doing it. Happy they're going with it, and and especially like Aaron, Sack, and Tyler, and Drew, and them, like they still use stuff that I teach them. And they probably don't even realize it, because like when they got into training, the trainers probably like, well, dang, you already know what you're doing. And people know when you do backyard wrestling or not. They can tell when you're training professional. Like, okay, he's bumped before. He's obviously got some kind of experience on how to do it. And especially when it comes to locking up into techniques. Like if you're spot on technique to begin with, then they know what he's done.
Right. Yeah. So go to the comment section. Mr. Awesome, who I mentioned, might join us at some point. I don't know if he will or not, but it says Dustin looks like a football coach with that hair grown.
We try to be one. We about to start up. Hopefully here probably be. I'm hoping by next year, and I get everything settled down. Get married, by the way, January, and plan on opening up a little recreation thing around here, coaching sports, and maybe even doing like a little sports podcast with wrestling involved. So, Stoney, I might have to hit you up one day.
Well, I wouldn't say no to anything. So, congrats to you on getting married, guys, from me and D'Lo.
Thank you.
Since you mentioned it, it was a topic I was going to bring up anyways. Best in the Yard 5. First question I got to say, were you invited to the show? Let's start from there.
I was invited, and the plan was to go, but everything I had going on. I'm trying to plan a wedding, trying to fix a house, keep a house maintenance, and I just forgot the weekend. And the weekend day came, and I had plans with fiance, and that's one thing I've learned. I'm glad I got out, because what I want to be in life is a husband and a father, and I want family time, and I like time to myself. And doing in pro wrestling just wasn't worth it. Like, I wish I could have got up there and seen the guys, and if I would have remembered it was that weekend, I would have been there. But I don't regret it. But I saw the show went pretty good. Like, I watched it, and I actually didn't get mad. It was a lot better than I expected. I could see a lot of improvement, especially from Drew Hood and Everett's match. Joseph Everhart's match was real good.
It was pretty good.
I felt like Cam's and Everett's dragged. Aaron's improved night and day difference. Like, he's got this intensity about him now that makes him so much better. Don't get me started on the Battle Royal. It absolutely, it was like AEW's buy-in Battle Royal. It sucked. Made no sense. Hated it. Couldn't, despised it. D-Lock's match with Johnny Reed was good. Judgments and Sacks was okay. It was pretty good. Not I don't know, for some reason it didn't click to me.
Yeah, it didn't click to me either. Wow.
But it wasn't nothing offensive. It just didn't click.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the match tonight was definitely Drew Hood and Everhart, in my opinion. And Dylan was right there close to him. And yeah, so that's about my view on the best in the yard. Like, it was good to see them guys, and Novan's entrance and that thing was good, but then that match didn't click with me either. And again, I don't know why exactly it didn't, but it didn't click. But yeah, it was. I was invited, just forgot the weekend.
Came up on you too quick.
I had something like that, man. Here lately, it's like I forget everything. If I don't write it down or have a reminder in my phone, I'll forget about it.
Right. All right. Nothing else in the comments at the moment. So, the next part. Yeah, not a whole lot to go through, but we'll get into that. You mentioned AEW. We'll talk a little pro wrestling here. What have you taken away most from seeing from AEW over the last couple of years that, first of all, that you like, maybe some things that you don't like?
Let's see. Trying to pull up real quick. Let's see. I'm liking Punk, obviously. Who ain't liking Punk? I've liked the Sting and Darby match. At first, I didn't. I love Sting. Sting's my favorite, as you can see. Yeah. But I didn't get the point of bringing him in. But him and Darby have been really good together. Kenny Olivier, as Jim Cornette calls him, I'm not sold on him. I don't know what all the hype is about him.
I don't agree with him either. So,
Cody and all his segments have been great. Sammy's been great. You know, like they got a lot of good people by what I see, and you know, it's actually enjoyable to watch that show. Like it's got hype, it's got excitement. When you go to NXT now, it's like a dark, dreary wasteland of sadness. And now it looks like it's about to be Nickelodeon.
Just wow.
Raw is a horrible, stale product. SmackDown, if you take Roman Reigns out, is about as bad as Raw. But you know, with AEW, it's like for every good they do, they got stupid stuff like Orange Cassidy should not be on TV. I understand he's funny, but to me, putting your hands in your pockets just stupid. The women's division sucks besides Britt Baker and maybe 2 or 3 others. Ruby Soho is a big pickup for them, but they need to get rid of Japanese women. Like, to me, it's just not my style.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it works in America. The tag team division is great. I don't know why that they refuse to put FTR on national television.
Yeah, right.
For the longest time, I don't understand it. I'm so glad the MJF and Chris Jericho feud's over with because I feel like that just went on and on and on.
Right.
But I love MJF. I'm digging the Brian Pillman thing. I'm hoping they keep that going. But I mean, you know, they got their negatives, but overall, it's a lot more watchable, and I think it's a major shift happening where you're about to see AEW become the #1 program. They might not make the most money because WWE's like it's Hollywood now. It's a television station, but you know, I think that's about to be the #1 wrestling show on television. Well, it already is the #1 wrestling show because it's not sports entertainment, but
right.
I think before you know it, like the talent's gonna want to go there before anywhere. Like WWE will be the second choice, and AEW will be the first choice instead of the other way around.
I can see that happening.
Unless they do some major creative changes and make these people be themselves, and that's not going to happen. They sound like my promos. I will beat you tonight inside the steel cage. In this whatever high footage, they look like they wrote it on their hand, and they're deciding it word by word what the script says, and that ain't how it works. That's movies,
right? Agree with that. I agree. I've thought that just like many people have for years that they need to just let the guys and girls just go out there and be themselves.
Yeah,
we've seen what it can do with a lot of the guys in AEW. I mean,
like Aleister Black, like
exactly.
There's no way Vince McMahon looked at Aleister Black and said he's not going to bring any money. There's no way. Like it's awe-inspiring that he did not see money in that guy.
Right, I'd agree.
Bray Wyatt, same way. He got watered down so bad because he was trying to get things going so many times, and it got some kind of momentum. They fucked it up.
Right.
Like, watch him when he first came to Fiend, and it was cool. And then him and Seth had that match in Saudi Arabia, and all I saw was red lights. And I'm like, what is this?
And even before that, the Hell in a Cell match that they had.
Oh yeah, and that was the. Was that the debut of the red lights?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Well, you couldn't see nothing because #1, they're inside a cage. You got a red light blaring, and all I'm seeing is red, like straight red, and it's hocus pocus.
Pretty much.
And it's now you got this 24/7 title BS going on. You got a great wrestler in Tosawa dressing up like a dog and a ninja. Like,
Right.
what the fuck?
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised they've got Akira Tozawa still in WWE, to be honest. They've gotten rid of so many cruiserweights over the last year.
Oh,
Last few months.
just gives them a tickle.
Yeah.
If they don't laugh at them or see them as their guy, they don't care.
Right. We'll talk more about that stuff too, but D'Lo says to ask you about your wrestling school since he is the first graduate of it.
Yeah, that wrestling school was so good. I got fired without getting told I was fired.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I trained D'Lo, I trained Zach, and we were in the VTW's little shed area, and I was putting them through drills like how I was taught. And they kept getting some new guys in, and I was basically running them off. But like in my view, if you can't do this and you're not tough enough to come back, then you don't need to be doing this. Like, I know it's backyard and it's supposed to be fun, but at the same time, to me, at that point, it was, this is backyard, but this ain't your normal mom and dad's backyard. Like, on YouTube, we got a lot of views, like thousands or so views, which,
Right.
in the grand scheme of terms, it's not a lot. But in backyard wrestling cases, that's a lot.
A lot, yeah.
We're one of the most popular backyard channels, at least in the South. And, we can't just let every mojo come out here and put on some shitty performance and make me look bad and make everyone else look bad. Like, that's not how I'm going to do it. So
Right.
I had D'Lo puking, throwing up, having to take breaks, and I'm over here pushing like a sergeant. So he's probably grateful now with him going in the Army. But yeah, then one day I walked in and Cam's doing the training and taking it easy on the guys, and I'm like, nah, all right. That's how I got fired. Walked in, I saw Cam doing training, and I was like, well, I guess that's my resignation.
That's funny. You mentioned it just as D'Lo did. Trained until I puked, LMAO.
I hit D'Lo the hardest. Like, I was probably the roughest on him than anybody. Like, I ran that boy to death. Like, oh, them were good times though. I love training. Like, I love showing them and the techniques, but to me, I'm not going to show you my techniques unless I know you can bump and I know you can get back up and get the cardio. Because if you don't got cardio, you can't do it. And I figured that out the hard way these past couple of years. Every time I try to step back in, I'm just, and you just can't. So I pushed them to their breaking point.
Yeah. D'Lo says it helped me.
Oh, thank you, my man. Thank you. Go tell Aaron and Cam how it helped you, so that way make them regret firing me.
There you go. Mr. Awesome, since we were talking AEW and a certain individual, says the sickness, Dustin Reagan versus Fuego del Sol.
Once upon a time, but now I'll just be another guy. And he's he's got a contract, but
Much deserved.
Yeah, and he worked hard for it, and he's a great guy. But and I'm not going to be like these other guys. Like, everyone's going to get on your podcast. They're going to talk about how proud they are and how serving he is and how great he's doing. I'm like, man, I'm proud of him. I'm glad he's got it. But now the real work begins.
Sure.
He needs to learn to stand out. He needs to make a name. It's easy to get a contract. Well, not easy, but it's easy to get a contract and just be in the shadows. Now he's got to go from, you got the contract. Now he's got to go and prove himself to make the big money. And I think he will do it. But, me personally, I think there's a limit on that, on the mask.
I think so too, honestly.
But, but yeah, he needs to step up now and prove it, prove that contract, and make them want him to get another contract. Because, like I said, wrestling is what you do from win today, not what you did from win tomorrow.
Right. Very true. And the whole Fiend topic we were on, Mr. Austin said they also painted the Hell in the Cell red too for Raw. That doesn't help a red light. Who would have thought?
They'll never get my money. I got canceled the whole network when they went to Peacock, and it's a cock, all right. And you can't look up nothing. It's like the fine 1997 WCW. It's like season 15 episode. I can't remember, but like it's trash. They don't care. But I personally think they're trimming it down to sell it.
Possibly. I would have never thought that, but with the way they've been getting rid of people this year.
Yeah, I think it's about to be a Disney owned or NBC owned. And because like if you look, all the talent is on Fox, which is owned by NBC. And all the up and coming besides Charlotte and Bobby and Randy, 3 guys, all on Raw. So they got all the proven people on SmackDown. And I'm about 90% sure NBC is about to buy that program. I mean, buy the whole company.
Yeah, possibly. It'd be too surprising. And I also hear NXT's they're not done releasing people from NXT either, which is scary.
Yeah, it's like a midget rule they got now. If you ain't 6'3", 230 pounds, or something like that, I heard.
Something, I don't know. But there's talks of getting rid of some of the guys that have been there for years, so that's scary when you think of the couple guys that have been there for years, and Johnny Gargano's and the Tommaso Ciampas, and among those areas. But we'll see what happens with that part.
Yeah, them guys won't. They'll find work pretty easy.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. But I mean, my one main concern for AEW though, I'm enjoying the product, but I still feel like they're kind of oversaturated. They're getting too many people for their 3 hours that they've got on national TV. I know they still do Dark and Dark Elevation, but it just feels like they've got too many people and not enough time to me, I guess.
To me, I think they got too many people. They got enough time, but they got too many people, not enough talent. They got a lot more talent here recently in the signings that they've gotten, but I think they got a lot of people on that show that don't need to be on that show.
Fair enough. But yeah, definitely excited to see where things go from here. I know a lot of people said it, I'll agree. We don't need to see Paul White in a match on pay-per-view anymore now that you got Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson and CM Punk and the Darby Allins and all these other guys on there. But
I mean, I get when people say it because he can't go. But he's a name, and for actual, if like Anthony the Go-Go knocks him out, that's a big rub on him.
That's true.
There's a reason to have him. What they did on Sunday, I want to say wasn't the planning, but I think with Anthony Go-Go being stuck over in England, that kind of made it that way. Same thing with the Pop thing. They kind of had to go with a plan B, and at the same time, don't book the match. I think they had plenty of time to know, but there's value in him because he's a name, and to get a younger guy over, you got to put him in with a Darby Allin with a Punk. You got to put the guy you want to get in with a guy that everybody knows, and for the hardcore fans, it's going to be frustrating, but for the long term, that's what's going to make him a star.
Nice. True. They just need to be careful with how they book certain people on shows and pay-per-views, in my opinion. Because as you mentioned, I thought that the Paul White, QT Marshall stuff was wasn't needed on the pay-per-view, how it ended up turning out.
Yeah, I mean, if you look what they placed on the card, it was, I think, a match to let people catch the breath.
With the breath, yeah. I understood why they put it where they did on the card. But.
Yeah, like I said, I think it was something else planned for it. I mean, I could be dead wrong. That could be exactly how they wanted it. But, there is a need for someone like him. Like, if you want a giant to come in and take over, then have him destroy the Big Show. And it don't got to be a match. It can be just on commentary. Like, have the guy, Big Show, say something bad. The guy comes over there and beats him, beats him. So, I mean, there is a place for him, in my opinion.
Mr. Awesome says Joey Janela versus Paul White TNT death match coming soon.
Speaking of a guy they don't need to have on TV.
Yeah.
I'd rather have pockets than him any day.
Well, at least he hasn't been on Dynamite and Rampage much. He's more so been dark.
Yeah, and that's kind of my fear is if you look at Jordan Oliver and the way he's doing his career right now, like I think he's going down that Joe Janela path. And I would like to see him get out of that and get more into legit wrestling and not this hardcore crap like in GCW. Like, I think there's a ceiling on that stuff, and I just hope his career don't go that way. I mean, that's just my take, but
yeah, I can understand that. I've never seen Joey Janela before AEW, but what I have seen of him, not thrilled with.
And you think that thing where he went off the roof of the building through the car with the tubes and balls?
Yeah, I think I've seen a video of that at one point.
Yeah, and to me, that's not wrestling. That's just stupid.
Right. That's just trying to kill yourself, pretty much.
It is, trying to kill yourself to get a big pot from 200 people.
Mm-hmm.
Like what Punk got when he came back. That's what you should want.
Right.
Like, that was the loudest I've ever heard anything. All my years watching. It was incredible.
So it says Zandig toss. Everyone gets one. Just one. All right. So, do you catch yourself watching any? Well, obviously you watch Best in the Yard. Any other BYW that's out there perhaps now?
Every now and then I watch DBW. When Castelli sends me something to watch, and I've actually done some streams where I critique his match while he can see my screen, and I pause and point things out. Watch some of that. All in all, not a whole lot, but I will see something, watch it, skim through it, and point some things out if someone's asking.
Gotcha. You say your in-ring career is over. There was talks at one point of BTW coming back. Could you ever see yourself coming back in any type of a situation, like maybe if they threw a general manager or anything like that involved into it?
I want to tell you no,
But
I know I'm easily persuaded. So doing something like that, like a non-physical role, I can see me possibly doing it, but definitely looking wise, like I'm definitely absolutely fine with what I did and how I did it, and I'm not planning on ever getting back in the ring to physically work a match again.
What move?
Like, man, like if you look at wrestling and like even with Cage, like I think the money's gone. And I think that audience that used to be thrilled with pro wrestling has gone from pro wrestling to UFC. And I think your ability to make a living and making a comfortable living is 1 in a million now. Because, like, before AEW got there's only one place to go. Now there's 2 places to go, but that one place now only wants their guys. They want former athletes, Olympic gold medalists. They don't want pro wrestlers. They want entertainers, and it's a dead business. Like right now, AEW's hot, but who's to say they're going to be hot 2 years from now?
Sure.
When all this pro wrestling talent there now gets there, and they run their course. Tell me one guy in the Indies right now that's got a name like Adam Cole did when it was just WWE.
Right.
There's no, maybe outside of Will Ospreay right now, he might be the only one that has a name that's in New Japan that's like a draw over here in the States. Yeah. But like he's been in New Japan. Like that's
and some people might argue Jay White, but
you can argue Jay White, but he was making his name before this other big company came.
Sure.
And you look at Ring of Honor now, they got the same people they had, and there's not really no big time names in it now besides the people that came from WWE or that was been there for years.
Sure.
And I think before I die that pro wrestling won't be anything like it is now. And it's died off a lot from the 90s.
Right.
The early 2000s. Like, and I think I would say by 2040, like, it will be like minor league baseball. It's there, but you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And, and to me, I'm not going to put my body on and risk it to do it. I'm not going to travel the world and just make $80,000 a year when I can make $80,000 a year at a job and come home to my wife and kids and have family time. So to me, I just don't see the worth in pro wrestling anymore. Like why you would want to inspire to do it, because the likelihood of you doing it and making a career is slim to none. And I'm not going to be a guy that's working the indies my whole life making $20 and here's a hot dog, because I've done it, and that ain't the way to live your life. And these people in the indies around here, like, and I'm sure everywhere, they think they're big names because they hold a little indie belt, but that belt don't mean jack shit.
Right.
So, it don't make you no more money. It's just a prop. Anyone can hold a title. I can go to Walmart, buy one, open up a Fed in my local area, and be the world champion. I'm a champion, but who cares?
Yeah, makes sense. So, let's go back to AEW. I'm curious of your opinion on their forbidden door that they've busted open and how they've used that so far.
I get what they're doing when they say forbidden door, and but to me, leave the wrestling terms backstage.
Right.
Like, I love the idea of bringing people from New Japan in, taking your people to New Japan, sharing talent with Impact, because it makes it more like a family. And that's what pro wrestling is. Like, the hardcore fans and which are the pro wrestling fans, they're a family. They argue, but they create the buzz together. We create the excitement and the atmospheres. And there shouldn't be a reason why he can't come here. That's what the territories was doing.
Yeah.
Same thing the territories were doing. And it's a great idea. I just wish they would leave that terminology backstage.
Gotcha. I just feel like they're saying it and using it, but yet they're not using it quite fairly, in my opinion. Like, you'll see.
I see with that, but I also will give them the benefit of the doubt with COVID happening right as they started. Like, they're probably being pretty limited on the people they can bring in due to travel issues. So, we'll see what happens once COVID finally disappears, if that ever happens. And super bands don't got to wear a mask to walk into the local grocery store. But, I'll give them a pass on that with all that going on, because you can't control that. No one could. No one.
I just feel like sometimes they kind of demean those other companies, though, still, even with their saying that everybody's welcome in and stuff. I mean, for instance, for me, when they had the Impact World title on the line between Christian and Kenny, they kept mentioning how it was the Impact Championship, but yet they were going to be fighting for the bigger prize, for the more meaningful prize, for the AEW World Championship at
All Out. Well, how are you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Dustin Reagan specialty right here. Well, I want to tell you how it is. To his point that he was saying that he lost connection to his own stream. Yeah, they that Adam Page thing with that obviously affected it. But I see his point with it. It's kind of weird. He's sitting here talking to just myself, but I have some technical issues. Let's see if he can get back on here any day now. I don't even know how many people we got watching this thing, so I can't even find it. Oh, he's trying to come in.
Well, can you hear me maybe at least?
I can hear you. Okay. I tried to take it over for you.
Yeah, I heard. See, I bumped something I shouldn't have bumped. All right. And apparently the cam doesn't want to come back on, but that's okay. You got my audio. That's the main thing. All right.
So I saw a thing where, are you on Spotify now?
I'm not using Spotify at the moment, but I do have Spotify.
Okay. I thought I saw a thing where you posted something on Spotify, and I was like, does he got Spotify?
Yeah, no, I do have a channel on there, but it's not just Spotify.
I got you. Okay.
I just do prediction shows mainly on there. That's why, because it's got the other camera on here. So you guys can hear me, and I know why you can't see me, because I've got it covered. All right. Give me 1 second. We're going to try and get this camera situated here.
Good. That's a pretty good idea. They buy you exclusive Man of War face mask today. That'd be a pretty good little idea for me to do if I still was doing it.
Right. There we go.
And there he went. Well, folks, you're in for an entertaining podcast right here. I tell you what. appreciate the comment there, Jack.
Okay, so apparently my one camera's not gonna work here. So I'll use that one. It's just gonna be darker than the other.
Nah, we'll make it work.
There we go. Now I got that one unmuted. Number 1 BTW Dream Match. Nice. Third time, technically, Jack Delta. Just FYI that I've had Dustin Reagan on here. If you haven't watched the other 2 shows with him, go back and watch it at some point in time.
Hey, Jack, and hit me up on Twitter. We'll see what we can get going on.
There we go. All right. Might try that another time. But I'm gonna get some light on so you can see me hopefully a little bit better. Not that I'm gonna too much, but I know this camera isn't that great anyways. But anyhow, I need to do what Ustalo told me to do. Get a specific camera that's supposed to be even better than the one I do have. So.
Oh boy. Oh, Ustalo.
Oh, do we need to go down that route, you say?
Oh, dude. Like, I remember, like just talking crap to everybody. Like, yeah, you know, Ustalo, you tits a low, you, you bitch a low.
So, you mentioned your in-ring career you feel is over. Is there any regrets of anybody that you didn't get a chance to step in the ring with, or any matches that you wanted to have that you didn't get a chance to do? Whether it be singles or otherwise.
Zach roaming is one that kind of comes on my head.
Okay.
Again, AK-47, a little moment I had with him driving the new bug. I think me and him could have been a pretty good match. It would have been a real good match.
King of the Yard.
Yeah. But other than that, really, not really. Everything I did, I was what I wanted to do. I got some regrets and some matches I wish I didn't have, but yeah, you know, I pretty much got everybody I really, truly wanted to that was realistic for me to do. But then would be the 2 guys I would say that I had chances at but didn't do.
Right. All right, 1 second. Now there's always going to be the one match that I wanted to see you a part of that we never got to see.
So, what was that?
It was a tag team match. Killer Instinct and TLP.
Yeah, that would be one. I regret not. We tried that 2 or 3 times. And I was the king of no-show in that match for some reason, whatever the reasons was. But, you know, especially how Betty 2 happened when I no-showed on that one. Again, I don't recommend anyone ever no-showing, especially if you want to make a career in the wrestling business. Yeah, that was completely on me for how that didn't happen. But it worked out because the storyline that we was able to go with after me not showing up, I think actually helped a lot more than it would have if we did the tag. So, yeah, you know, it all happens for a reason. You don't always know why, and that reason might piss you off, but it all happened for a reason. So it worked out at the end of the day.
Fair enough. That's just always one match that I think some other people too have wanted to see, but my own main match. There'd be others, but that's the main one.
Yeah, that'd be one that, you know, you can fully point the blame at me on that one. And You know, now that I'm kind of sitting here thinking about it, like a lot of people in this backyard thing, like I don't know what your audience is like, but I'm guessing it's probably a lot of people that do it. You know, everyone just take a chill pill. At the end of the day, this is to get better. This is to enjoy what you're doing and learning how to do it. So when you go indie or you go whatever you decide to do in life, like it's not to get upset about everything. Like I had one title run as world champion. Did I think I deserved more? Yeah, I think I did. But there's no reason to get upset because you didn't get the main event. I didn't get the main event a lot either. Besides, I was a world champion. I didn't get the best main event of Biddy. I didn't get close to a main event Biddy. And I thought me and Dirty at Biddy 3 it was.
Yeah.
I thought that was probably one of the best matches I've ever had. And I think that had an argument to be a main event. Am I mad about it not being it? No. But the like, I'm gonna shit on it, but it's all right. Like Jason Walker's thing he was talking about with Aaron. Mm-hmm. Grow up. Like, this is backyard wrestling. You didn't lose no money. You didn't lose no fame. At the end of the day, everyone knows you just as much as if you did main event. I get, your characters at times gotta have a certain spotlight to grow. I get it. But there's no reason to come on a podcast and blow your tempers up about it. If you're that upset with the person about it and you feel that strongly, go to them. And it's not a hard guy to get in contact with, I know. And people get so upset about it, like they lost money. In pro wrestling, in WWE, WCW, ECW, AEW, TNA, you had money on the line. Like if you didn't get this main event and your character couldn't grow, you couldn't ask for more money when your contract's up. Because that's what it's all about.
Right.
In this, there's no sense in trashing a guy on a podcast because he didn't give you a main event in a backyard company that is for fun. It's to learn your craft and it's to grow. It's to put on the best match you can at the time you can. Like we could have just not put you on the show or asked you to be on the show. Like that's what this is for. This is for you to go back and watch it. And if you don't get the main event, this ain't WrestleMania. This ain't CM Punk's case. Right. This is a case of, hey, put your match on there. If you're earlier in the show, more likely someone's going to tune into it and stick around to it. Hardly any at the main event had the most views. The most views was either in the very beginning or dead middle. That's where you want to be. More eyes on you.
Right.
And that's where you get the more comments. And to come on your podcast and the trashing man who's probably had no idea it happened, had no idea what you were saying, and didn't even know there was a beef with you. Like that's childish. So it's like if there's anyone that listens to this and listens to this part of it that's doing backyard, at the end of the day, don't get your butt hurt. Don't get upset because you're not the main event of every show. At the end of the day, you take your lessons being on camera, seeing how your body reacts in camera, see how your emotions are, see how your like me, my issue when I would do it. I have this issue when the camera's on me, I wouldn't look at the camera. I kind of have what we call glazing eyes, and I'll be looking at like around the camera. Mm-hmm. Like focus on pretend that's a TV camera and you're looking on your television. Because when you get to TV, that's when all this comes in big effect. Use that video time to prepare yourself for when you become on TV.
Right.
If you're awkward on YouTube, you're going to be awkward on national television. Like you look at Fuego del Sol and you see how he does his stuff now. His moves are fine. His issue is still that little bit of backyard wrestling awkwardness, not being on national television, not paying attention to that camera. Like that's where you sell. That's where you put your body language into that camera. And when he sells, he's kind of got his body language to the mat, which, he's going to run. But like, that's not, don't trash someone because of an opportunity in backyard wrestling. It's not worth it. You're just bringing that guy down, and you're just going to piss off people, and you're going to put the pride in everybody. Who are you?
Right.
Who are you? You are the same thing that, as I went black, you were the same thing then that you are now. You're a guy living life, and so is Aaron.
Yeah.
And I'll get the lights back on here in a second.
Yeah, I'm good.
There you go. So yeah, there's no reason to trash people on this stuff. Just have fun and learn from it.
Yeah, I'd agree. But before I got thrown off from my camera deciding to take a crap, we were talking about or I was mentioning how I felt about AEW treating the Impact World title as less than pretty much on their programming, which in a way I can see you wanting to make your company's title seem more meaningful, but I just still felt like they're demeaning Impact Wrestling in their title altogether.
Yeah, way they did it probably wasn't the smartest of ideas. Maybe it had that match be after your world title match, AEW title match, but
that's what I would have done. But.
I think the original plan was for Christian to beat him there, and then Adam Page to beat him at All Out. And then when they got the signings and Adam Page was asked for time off, I think that's kind of what caused that effect. Because when All Out went off air, you wasn't talking about the title, you was talking about Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson.
Yeah. Which it's going to be interesting to see how they go about with the whole Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega.
Yeah, Bryan Danielson needs to win the title from him, in my opinion. If they're going to push him straight into the title match, he needs to win it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, it makes sense. I've always said, I'll continue to say, I felt like Adam Page should be the one to take the title from Kenny. Because Adam, to me, should have been world champion before now in AEW. But with all these signings, I think it's going to be harder for him to get that big push, so as to speak, without something different or more improved in his repertoire instead of the whole Dark Order thing that was doing in the feud with the Elite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But yeah, I could see Bryan taking the title from him. I mean, he goes from top spot in WWE to a top spot in AEW right away, then yeah, I'd have to agree with you that it should be push him all the way.
If it was me, Bryan wouldn't have gone straight after the Elite, because if you put him in the feud and he beats Omega, you're pretty much telling people that WWE's talent's better than yours, in my opinion. And I would have put Bryan with maybe an Aleister Black if you're going to do a program. But I would have had him do what CM Punk's doing. Not really wrestling a program, but wrestling like the young guys to get him established. And then make him go for the title, you know?
I agree. Well, Mr. Austin brings up a good two-part question here. Since Killer Instinct was mentioned, I went there, and there was a return tease earlier this year on Twitter. Would you still do it? And if so, what team would you two be gunning for?
Again, I would say I wouldn't do it. But Dylan knows these strings to pull on me to get me to say yes. And if we did do it, I don't even know. It would be whoever Dylan decides to go after, I guess. Because I couldn't tell you who would be a good team for it to do it with and who wouldn't.
Right. Yeah, honestly don't watch a whole lot of DBW. They're the main company that's around kind of ish right now, in my opinion, in this community anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know what team to pick now either. That's active.
We in the same boat there, then, Tony.
There's not a whole lot of teams to choose from. I mean, if NUW was still around and doing stuff instead of the issues behind the scenes they've had for the last year, then maybe I'd have teams to pick from. But
yeah, I just think for me it's best to step away completely and work on living my life.
were you just fine with the way your match with Zach went to be the swan song? In other words.
Yeah, you know, I think it's the best I could do at that time. And I love Zach, my brother, and you know, for me to give whatever rub I did give on him, you know, that's awesome for me.
Right.
But you know, you never know.
Oh, you mean it's kind of like that saying you hear all the time: "Never say."
Never say never.
Yep.
I wouldn't mind getting back in the ring one more time.
Nice.
If I did anything.
Right. I hear they're coming to a close here soon. So. Anyway, so we mentioned the subject I used to have. Aha, good question there. I'll get into what I was going to say in a minute. Mr. Austin wants to know, was there any reason you didn't put on the war paint for the match against Zach at Popular Demand?
It was kind of a last minute thing when I found out, and I didn't feel like I was in shape and didn't feel comfortable in my body, like muscle tone wise or anything. Like, again, I'm a small guy anyway, but like I used to be pretty ripped, and I didn't think I could give it the full Man of War go. So I kind of went with the Dustin Reagan go and not the Man of War go. That's why there would have been no paint.
That's fair. Okay. See if he mentions anything else in there. As I was saying, talked about the Elimination Chamber that I used to do segment with everybody. Now there's a different segment I do with everybody nowadays instead of that.
Mm-hmm.
I take 3 names, give them to you. You have to tell me if you were running a company with these 3 guys as part of it, which one would be jobbing, which one would you fire, and which one would you push to your world title?
Okay.
I just picked 3 random names. We talked a little bit about all 3 of these guys during the show, so I'm going to go with Zach Daniels, AK-47, and D-Lock.
D-Lock that'd be the jobber.
That's not too surprising.
So it'd be jobber, world title, and
Fired.
And fired. trying to think unbiased friendship wise. I would say, again, I don't know what Zach's head is right now, but I'll go with both these guys when I knew them. I would say Zach would be the world champion, Dylan would be the jobber, and I would fire AK.
Okay.
The reason I would fire AK, he's got good work, but I think his body language selling isn't as good as Dylan. And I think he's awkward on promos still. I think that's something he can work on. Again, if you put my name where AK is, I would fire myself. So, yeah, I would say if he got his body language better and a little bit more or less awkward on promos and got the kind of the Cajun accent kind of gone,
yeah,
or find a kid the worker with that Cajun accent, I think that's why I would fire him. D-Lock, I would make the jobber just because I feel like Zach's promos are better, and D-Lock's a much better seller, and he's got good body language, and he knows how to put a match together, and he knows how to get somebody over. And Zach, I think, just all around can talk, and his work ethics on the same, if not a little bit less as good as Dylan and AK. I think Dylan's the best in-ring worker than all three of them, but I would say Zach's probably about the same with AK.
Okay. All right. So the only reason Mr. Awesome's not on camera, he's still showing me things here. He's a little bit busy with some other projects he's working on as well. But he's got one scenario here as well. He's got 5 different names here. And then you got to tell me which one you would have return, which one you want to rival, and which one you would retire.
I get 5 face them.
He can deny that if not, but that's what I'm assuming is what he'd want.
Okay.
It says return / rival / retire one. The names Rick Rios, Everett Creed, Zach Daniels, Novin, and Big Time Mike.
All right, so let's go down. So my 3 choices are rival, retire,
and return.
Return. Okay. So the first one was
return. Who would you have return? To match with?
Novin.
Okay.
Rival. Zach. Retire. Was Yankee a list or was it Rios?
No, Rick Rios and Everett Creed and Big Time Mike are the 3 still.
Let's say Mike.
Nice. Those are interesting choices.
Yeah. I don't know the rhyme or reason is behind them, but that'd be my choices.
Yeah. Well, since you mentioned Yankee, I'd assume he's the one you would rather retire, though, if he was on that list.
Yeah, Yankee been a good match. That's one match that never really got to happen, besides when he first came down. But that'd be one I want to look program with. I thought that'd be pretty good, me and him.
Yes. I could ask you about that. You mentioned matches that you weren't happy that you had, but I don't want you necessarily burying anybody, so that'd be up to you.
Nah, don't bother me. Ask away.
Any person in specific, let me put it this way, that you kind of regret working with at any point in time in your career?
So I would say I would say Everett, but not because he was unsafe or bad or the match sucked, but I would say him just because of the gossip around it.
Mm-hmm.
I also think we did one too many matches. Like, I think we should have just saved it at the 2, and that was it. Regret, like, wouldn't even stepped in the ring and done it again if, oh man, I would say, oh man, what was that homeboy's name? Every battle royal I was in VTW, no one knows how to do them, and they suck.
Punch, kick, struggle in the corner.
Oh man, there was a couple of times, I'm not going to say no names, but like I'm sitting there watching this thing, and I'm in the ring, and I get in the ring as I came in, and like I get in the middle, and no one's feeding. Everyone's just sitting there looking at me, and I'm like, I think Cage came, and then that was it. So like I just start going around the whole thing, just throwing my little uppercut. I'm like, gosh almighty. Then one dude got in the ring, walked around to the far corner, stepped in, and just started kicking some dude laying on the ground. I'm like, and when I went back and I watched, I was like,
why?
It's supposed to be your time. It's your time to shine.
Right.
You're invincible for the 10 seconds once you step in. No one can touch you. You step in, you whoop ass, and that's your shine.
Right.
I know there's a bunch of them that I'm just not thinking of right now. Jamal, when his early years, he was just very awkward. The whole rooster low thing, yeah. When he put on the dog,
yep,
that was stupid. Definitely the what was that scary movie that VTW when I first started had these two characters come in that's off that scary movie.
Yeah, I can't think of the names that are off the top of my head either, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Tyler was the was that character, and he rolled me up and
Yeah.
Gage.
Yes.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
But if you want me just to shit on someone, which I know that's what you're probably wanting because it makes people interested in what was said. Anything that had to do with KJ at the time. Yeah. He was a miserable human being to be around at that time. This is how it was.
Not too surprised, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved every. I mean, off the top of my head, that's the big one. It's just he thought he was better than what he was. He wouldn't listen, and maybe it was on me at the time being Mr. Big Shot and wasn't listening to him, but the me, that one. Some of the matches I had with Tyler, I loved. Some of them I hated. When he went to be stupid Tyler, I hated. And there was some times where you just sat there and listened, and it was great. I loved them. So some of his, yeah, that's about the main only ones I can think of off the top of my head right now.
So let's flip that then. What's some of your best feuds or matches that you felt like you had, and who was your favorite person to compete against?
I think me and Dylan had a good feud.
I agree.
Me and him had great chemistry in the ring. Definitely me and the Chica was really good. I love the whole me against FTC with the Drew Hood angle. I think that was great. I think that put me on the map in BYW aspects. I loved working with Zach, and I know he would agree, but like every time we planned on a rivalry or something, or we had this match, it's like nothing, it never clicked, and it never kind of stuck with people. It was kind of, I don't know, it's the weirdest thing. Like on paper, me and him should be a great match and should be a great angle. But for some reason, we could just never, I don't know if it was a styles clash or if it was just bad timing every time we tried, but we just never had that click.
Right.
Me and Aaron it was pretty good. I wouldn't necessarily say it was a classic. Me and Ecstatic when I first came in. I like the thing with me and Novin. I wish we could have done it a little bit longer. I think it was kind of cut short, and we didn't really tell the full story. We kind of told the sum it up story. But
you guys had a pretty great casket match, in my opinion, though. So.
Yeah, I just feel like we should have done something in between it. There should have been some kind of fuckery.
Yeah.
And I feel like I just went from Dustin Reagan to my new character like that, and there really wasn't much of a backstory to build it.
Yeah.
But
I can see that.
I would definitely say me and the Chico was my favorite because it was the biggest stage. And I feel like it was a damn good match. And if you listen to that camera before the botch happened, like that place was loud.
Yeah, it was.
And it was just after Cage's match. I mean, not Cage's, the tag match with Ecstatic and Tyler and AK and Cage, and that thing went on really long. And if you listen to the crowd in there with the guys, it was very quiet. And for me to go out after that and build them back up, I felt was pretty like, hey, I still got it, motherfuckers, And hearing, like, you can hear Ecstatic and Drew in the back of the camera, like, hey, he's so good, like I feel like that was like my WrestleMania moment stamp.
Nice.
And like the story we told where like I won the match, but Dirty walked away.
Right.
And then it cost me the world title right the next show, the Drew. So I would say that one was probably my favorite. Like it had the personal rival with my granddad, and he was the person behind my granddad's death. And I think it was great. It was a great story. It was a great he's a bastard, and I'm avenging my family, and I also put ourselves on the same level. Like, I won, but he walked away. And no one's in backyard and Biddy. No one ever did that. It was either a double count out because no one wanted to lose, or it was a straight put over. So for me to win it, but him to walk away, I got the win, but did I really win?
Right.
So I would say that one was my favorite.
Just won the match, but you didn't win the war, pretty much.
Right. Like the Man of War lost the war. He put all his marbles to win that battle, but he couldn't win the war. So, I think that one was the best story and finish that we had.
It's like they always say, you only need a 3 count.
So. Yeah. And that actually wasn't the original ending. The original ending got screwed up by Chase, who was the ref. I'm glad he did. So, like, if you watch it, we're both down, and I barely get up, and then I fall down, right? So that was supposed to be the ending. I broke the 10 count, and Dirty didn't make it. That was supposed to be the ending. Well, Jace, I guess, got confused, so he said, I made it, so he broke the 10 count. So he didn't call for the bell. So then me and Dirty had to improvise on the spot. So it kind of worked out. Could have been a little bit smoother, but no one noticed over that unless you just happen to know what you're looking for.
Right.
You could tell there was some awkwardness there, but you didn't know what was supposed to happen.
Right. Mr. Austin says, "Are you sure you didn't catch a charge for doing that to Phoenix on Proving Ground?"
That was some fun. I've never got a holy shit chant by just stretching a man.
Yeah.
We did nothing in that whole match. I just stretched him, and I got a holy shit chance. Like I think that was awesome, and I love that match. Walking it back, and I talked to Phoenix the other day, and he still brings it up. Like it was a great moment. He was in the chapter. Yankee, the promoter, told me to be in the where he quits. So in my head, I'm like, okay, well, I embarrass him and stretch him enough to where he quits.
Right.
And Yankee came back to me after the match. He was like, I told you to beat him, not to bury the man.
Hell. It just what happened that way.
It just went, yeah. I think we put about 35 different holds on him. Yeah. And he was legitimately bleeding from the gums. I mean, I had so much fun doing it. I don't know about Phoenix in his case, but I had a blast.
Just kind of looking back a little bit, if you could go back in time, do you think you would want to change the way you came into VTW, or with the whole Joe Cool Incorporated faction helping bring you guys in, or is that still the way you'd want to make your debut as Dustin Plague at the time?
Oh, that's what's John.
Nothing. Go back in time.
I would want to tell you I would want to make it different, but like I think it all worked out great.
Mm-hmm.
And what it ended up leading me into becoming and starting the Drew Hood rival with the FTC and doing that stuff really put me on the map. And I had no idea about the Man of War gimmick. Like I knew about the sickness, but I didn't want to do the sickness right away, and became the Plague. And yeah, I don't regret it. It's like, I was just coming in and that was what they had going on. So that's what they put me in. So right. I wouldn't really change it because I was just coming in. I had no room to not negotiating what creative control I do. I was just happy to be there to actually get away from the indies and do a match that wasn't just a headlock, a hip toss, an arm drag, a drop kick, and your finish is a crossbody. So I don't regret it. I think it all played out good, and it told a pretty good story from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
And with the talent that we had at the time, there really wasn't much you could have other done. I mean, I came in, started working with the best guys they had.
True. Okay. So, next thing I think of, if looking back at the different feuds you had throughout times, is there any one of them specifically that you wish maybe the roles had been reversed? Like maybe you would have been portrayed as the villain in the feud or as the good guy in the feud? If you could go back, if you could redo or change things now, even maybe.
I would change everything to where I was the face. Because I think the Man of War gimmick with the paint and being the technical guy and being a wrestler, I think I made a better baby face than a heel. Like, the heel's got to be able to talk. He's got to be able to be an asshole, and I don't think I'm a good asshole. So I always thought my matches were better when I was the badass baby face that knew how to look, knew how to put holds on. So yeah, other than that, ecstatic when I first came in, everything else I wish I was a baby face on.
Nice.
But all in all, I pretty much, like, I got my big run being that baby face, semi anti-hero at times. Yeah, so I don't really regret none of them. I couldn't specify one where I was like, I should have been a heel. You know, everyone wants to be a heel now. Look at pro wrestling now. There's no faces. Everyone's a heel, so they make it where there's no heels or baby faces. It's you like them or you don't. And I think if people wanted to be a baby face, you wouldn't have that issue.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's ways to be a good guy and not be, stay in the rules, kids, and make sure you're saying your prayers at night and you're eating your vitamins and you're being a good boy at school. You know, like, there's ways to be a good guy and not be that standard face that everyone thinks of when you think of 1980s pro wrestling.
Yeah. That's true. All right. Let me check something. So, that's interesting. Apparently, AEW Dynamite beat Raw in 18-49 this week. Not surprising too much.
Not surprising at all.
First time it's happened.
Uh,
Mr. Awesome asks, do you regret what happened towards the latter half of your VTW career?
Yes. Shouldn't have happened. I should have pulled the plug when I beat Drew. That should have been my last. Well, when Drew beat me, I think that should have been my final match. After that moment, it wasn't fun, and there wasn't a clear direction. People were getting upset. People were getting mad. I feel like my character went into a weird way where it was like had no meaning. I was trying to be this, not really demented, but like this kind of more creepy man of war with the Oliver character, and then with the Novin thing, like I never got that stability and that character background growth, and it shouldn't have happened. I should have just stayed the man of war and done everything that way, or I should have just ended after Drew. And I think ending after Drew would have made me a lot more memorable.
Interesting. Nothing else in here for the moment. Well, I think we touched on just about every topic that I can think of anyways off the top of my head at the moment. Any other things you want to mention that you do like or don't like seeing currently in anything for that matter?
You know, I'm not going to talk about AEW and that no more. I think that's pretty common to talk about. It's the big thing, but like, if any current backyard wrestlers listen to this, like, or people that I've talked on, or now to sound like a trash, and you know, don't take it personal. Wasn't trying to. If you want to hit me up about it, hit me up about it. And any of the guys that's doing it now, if you listen to this and you want me to review a match and go over it with you, hit me up on Twitter. I would more than happy to do a sit down and go over something with you. I love helping. But, you know, I don't regret it. It was a fun ride. And Tony, I appreciate you having me on again and reliving some of Memory Road. But it was fun. It was a good time. And, you know, don't be shy. Any of y'all need me, just hit me up. That's in the community. And you, Tony, as well.
Of course.
And I expect to see y'all at my wedding here soon, okay?
See what we can do. One final question before we go that Mr. Awesome got. What got you to return for shows like Best in the Art 4 and Popular Demand? We kind of went over Popular Demand earlier that year. D-Lock kind of talked you into that one, even though he didn't end up being able to show.
Yeah, it was the love I have for the guys. Like, my love for wrestling's not there like it was because I'm in life. Got a house, got a job. I'm living my best life I could ask. Thank God for that every day. Got found the woman I want to marry, which a lot of the guys would know, like, and I thought that was never going to happen. Yeah, just the love for them and wanting to talk to them and see them again is really what got me to go back to give it one more go.
Nice. So since I was kind of working on something, you mentioned it, the Spotify thing, I have an Anchor.fm channel, Tiger Talks Wrestling on there. And Spotify is one of the networks that it's also available through. Do prediction shows for AEW pay-per-views and WWE pay-per-views on there. So just to clarify.
I got you.
That's all the fun stuff for that. Those are a lot shorter shows usually than what these are. So,
I'm sure them links will be in the description somewhere post-show, I'm guessing.
well, I have the links everywhere, not necessarily in this, but everywhere on my social media.
Okay. Just look up Tony Talks Wrestling on Twitter, and the links will be in his little
Tiger Talks Wrestling in Twitter. And
Tony Talks Wrestling. I try to give you a plug.
I appreciate it. I can use all the plugs I can get, especially for that channel, because nobody listens to that one. So not many people.
Hey, it's the grind. It's the grind.
It is. But yeah, I'm always happy to have you on here. We'll get you back for something, I'm sure.
Of course, yeah. Just hit me up, my man. I'm free most weeknights. So anything you need, just hit me up and we'll see what we can do. So I appreciate you having me on again. It was fun.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I enjoyed myself. That got a little something new to take us out. Next time, let's see. I gotta plug things here now before I finish this off, though. Next time I'll have anything, will be the Anchor channel with a WWE Extreme Rules prediction show. On here, I don't know quite yet, but I've got a couple people, including one that we were talking about a little while ago, that I haven't had on here yet, in the works. He'll be coming on eventually. I just haven't picked the time and day yet. So he's a little bit harder to get to because he's only available on weekends usually. And a couple other people, for that matter, have got lined up. So just stay tuned. Any last comments from you or anything you need to plug?
I'm good, my man. I'm all set, ready to go.
You thought the entrance was good. Wait till you see this.